You're watching Raising Babies 101, the Toddlers Edition. Kajeno, re qala ka nature versus nurture. It's all about language and how toddlers are naturally born with the ability to understand language. Ha re fetsa, re ithuta hore ho easy peasy ho tshireletsa bana ba rona ha ba bapala le dintja. And later, we'll have some fun when two moms battle it out for the title of Best Ma in My Ma is Better Than Jou Pa. Dumelang kaofela, ke a le amohela ho lenanehong le leng le monate la Raising Babies 101, the Toddlers Edition, with me, Khomotso. Mo mananehong a mang le a mang a Raising Babies, re bua ka mathata a fapaneng a leng teng ha re godisa bana. Ebile re araba dipotso tsa batswadi le batho ba hlokomelang bana. Re lefa le bonusnyana ya di-tips tse ka ho thusang. Empa he, pele re a hole, ke le tshwaretse taba tse le thabisang tse monate. Wena o le ko hae, o ka iwinela voucher ya 200 rand. Just answer the following easy either-or question. In general, is it easier for A, a child, or B, an adult, to learn a new language? O tla fumana karabo e nepileng ho lenanehong la kajeno. Posa karabo ya hao mo Facebook page ya rona and o ka iphumana o humile. We start our parenting quest for knowledge journey today by exploring the way in which children have a natural ability of acquiring language. A child's ability to understand language develops faster than their ability to speak it. Does this mean even though they cannot speak the words, they might be able to understand the meaning? To help us understand this concept more, speech therapist Nikki Heyman is joining us via Skype. Hi, Nikki, and thanks for joining us via Skype.
Hi, Khomotso. Lovely to be here.
Would you just chat to us a bit about language and the inherent ability for children to actually acquire language from an early age?
So, Khomotso, one of the things that makes us human and differentiates us from other species is that we communicate with language. So it doesn't mean others don't communicate, but we use language. So we are programmed to learn to speak.
And what would you say is the difference between receptive language and expressive language?
So receptive language is what you understand. So when children start learning languages, they often understand a lot more than they can say. And expressive language is how you say what's in your head, express it. And that expressive language can sometimes be nonverbal. So although we are programmed to speak, you know, when we're learning, we use a lot of gesture, our hands, we point, we use all that kind of
non-verbal
stuff.
So it sounds like what you're saying is there are instances where the child may not understand the words, but they'll actually understand the language, and you actually can communicate effectively, even if it seems at that stage they don't understand the words.
Yes.
We use baby talk and like goo goo gaga. Is that good for language development? I mean, I've heard that in fact you need to start speaking to children in the right way with the right language and not use baby talk. Is that true?
That baby talk, you know, depending on when you use it, is something called motherese or parentese. And what that does is it's a way of communicating, often to highlight salient points or information. So we use a higher than normal pitch.
Yes.
We talk about shared perception. We exaggerate. And that kind of helps draw the child's attention to what we're talking about. So it's not gibberish, but there's also a lot of repetition in that parentese that we use. And we know that repetition helps us learn.
Indeed.
It kind of shows us those pathways.
Absolutely. Now we're going to have a look at some toddlers trying to speak.
Alati, what does a duck do?
Quack, quack.
Quack, quack.
Where's the baby kite?
And then a cat,
Meow.
a dog,
Woof.
a chicken,
Chick.
a sheep,
Meh.
what else?
Huh?
A pig. A pig is a...
How about pig kgogo. So, Nikki, as we saw in the insert, this little one is learning animal sounds. So is that a way to teach our children how to start engaging in language and words and vocabulary?
Children understand a lot more than they can actually say. And so when children start to speak, they might see a person and every single person becomes a baba. And because that is what they can say. Physically, the little movements required to make a speech sound are quite quick, precise. And so one of the reasons that they say that every animal or every person is a baba, it's easier to say. You then say to them, well, what sound does this make? And maybe they can't say the word pig. And just linguistically, and the movements required to say the word pig is much harder than saying, which is a noise. So what they're telling you is they understand that they're different, even though we are calling perhaps all animals doggies or all people baba. They understand that difference.
Well, Nikki, we have a lot to chat about in terms of language development, multilingualism and skills in toddlers. So you're going to be sticking around with me in the show and we'll carry on our conversation.
Thank you.
Wena o bua maleme a kae? Na o ikemiseditse ho sebetsa ka thata ho ithuta leleme le lengwe? I'm sure that most of us will answer no. Some scientific evidence has stated that children have the ability to learn a new language far better than an adult. Hobaneng? Ebile batswadi ba ka etsang ka tsebo ena hore ba thuse bana ba bona ho ithuta maleme a mangata ba sentsane ba le ba banyane. After the ad break, we continue the conversation about the language and find out how to correctly nurture our child's natural ability to acquire language. Uskaya hole. Welcome back. Before the break, we started exploring children's ability to learn languages. Please join me in welcoming back speech therapist Nikki Heyman, who's of course on Skype, and joining our discussion here in studio is mom of two and author of the South African home language book, Tsakani Mkari. So you have two children.
Yes.
And you've written a book about languages.
Yeah.
Which languages do you speak at home?
We speak Tsonga and English.
Tsonga and English.
Actually, and Pedi as well, because I was raised in Namakhale.
Yes.
And my dad is Pedi, my mom is Tsonga. And then the father of my kids is Tsonga. Tsonga. So now we had to now speak Tsonga Lintwena. But when I go and visit my dad, then I have to speak Pedi. Yeah.
How do we help bana ba rona gore if they grow up in a multilingual home like you did and like your children are growing up in? How do you retain that language? And then it turns out they've forgotten the language.
With my kids, I think I had the same problem where kids would go and visit grannies at home and then my grandparents can't speak English, then we have a problem, you know. But also in terms of cultural tolerance, you know, we meet with people at work, we meet with different people, different norms, you know, they are raised differently. So it's very important for us as parents to teach our kids at an early age to be able to learn other people's languages, but also to be able to understand how other cultures do things. So we need to teach the kids now at an early age to say, this is correct, this is not correct, so that even when I'm not there as a mother, they are able to interact with other people and be able to speak their languages.
They can communicate and appreciate languages and different cultures.
Absolutely.
So, Nikki, what's the best way to encourage children to actually learn different languages at that age?
Language is contextual. And we learn language through social contact, through being immersed in those environments, we don't just learn grammar rules. In fact, that's not how children learn language, and that's why they are so kind of pliable, or I can't think the right word.
They're sponges.
Amenable.
Yes, yes.
But you can't learn something that you're not exposed to. So you have to keep hearing it. And if you don't keep hearing and using that language, you are going to lose it.
And why is it that they say children have a more natural ability to learn language faster at a certain age? And apparently there's a window. There's a window that you need to catch as a parent to teach as many languages as you can. And what is that about the biology of children?
Children don't sit down and get taught a list of verbs and a list of grammar. They're kind of just immersed in stuff that they hear. And they're not scared to fail. And that's because we allow them to. We don't expect them to speak the language perfectly. They start to develop that language. It's a process.
What sort of things do you talk about in your book that give tools to parents who want to teach their children languages in South Africa?
I mean, for us, it's basic communication. Basic communication, how to greet. I think that's what's important. I mean, if I go and Nikki says to me, Absheni, I'll be like, oh, Nikki, you know. It's basic communication, different types of foods, learning what different cultures are doing in their own space, how Zulus do things, their rituals, how the Pedis do, how Indians do, how, you know, everyone does it. So it's basic communication, day-to-day issues that people deal with in their different corners, in different cultural backgrounds.
Well, ndiyalebuha. Ndiyakeza.
Yeah.
Zakani. And I thank you, Nikki, for sharing your insights.
Thank you.
We live in a world with many different nations, beliefs, and cultures, each one echoing in its beautiful language. Mo Afrika Borwa, re na le maleme a 12 a leng official. Re ske ra lebala ho bala le sign language. Why not consider using your child's natural ability while they still have it to raise adults that can speak multiple languages? It could possibly broaden their horizons and give them greater opportunities. And who knows, you might learn a word or two yourself. Decoding A to Z. M is for multilingual. To be multilingual means that you're able to speak more than one language with ease and clear understanding. Haweng, re lo shebang hore bana ba etsa ntho tse feng tse khulu ka ntle in show and tell. Hello and welcome back to Raising Babies 101. Next up, we'll learn how easy peasy it is to teach your child how to be safe around a dog. Please join me in welcoming to studio our guest, dog behaviorist Sherry Armagam, and her dog Sky. Hello to you and Sky.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How old is Sky?
So Sky is a Dutch Shepherd. She's 1 year old. We've just started her basic training literally yesterday.
Oh, wow.
Just teaching her the basics of doing a sit, how to behave in front of people, not to jump, and basic things like that.
So dogs have to be taught how to behave, and also it seems little people also have to be taught how to behave around
just the same.
dogs. What are the certain pointers you would say are important for children to know?
I think for children to know when interacting with dogs, the most important thing is to just be mindful of their boundaries. Dogs have boundaries just like we do. So obviously with young children, one of the things that they tend to do is they are quite loud, where some dogs might feel uncomfortable with the loudness, or if kids make sudden movements, so if they jump around or throw toys around, that could actually upset a dog.
And what other rules would you say children need to know in order for them to spend time with dogs and animals safely?
Definitely, one of the things that does come up quite a bit is, like humans, kids like to share toys, but dogs are not always like that. So they don't understand the same concept of sharing a toy. So when a child is playing with a toy and maybe they take the toy, the dog might not understand that it's trying to play with it. Some dogs have a possessiveness over their toys, so they won't like it if you take their toy.
And I noticed Sky has his little toy. What is that? It's like a rope, half rope.
Yeah, so she likes to chew the rope off. This is a little Kong. It's one of the most indestructible dog toys you can find. So we use it for training purposes. For dogs that have a high play drive, we use this almost like a ball. So just throw it and ask them to bring it back.
So if you wanted, if the toddler wanted to take it from the dog, is there a method?
So you can. It depends again on the dog, and it depends on breed. It depends on the dog's temperament. So with her, she doesn't mind sharing her toys. So you can take it away from her. You eventually can teach your dog a leave command. So there's different types. You can teach them to leave. You can teach them to out, where they will eventually let go of the toy and you can take it from them. That's generally the best way to actually take a toy from a dog, to teach them to let go.
To let go.
Yeah. So usually what we like to do is, if she's got this toy, I would exchange it with another one, and then you teach her to basically release that toy, and she gets another one.
Something else.
Yeah.
Is it advisable for parents to leave toddlers with their dogs, even if it's their own dogs, on their own?
Definitely not.
Not at all.
Not at all. So with dogs and like kids as well, sometimes our children forget how to behave the same way with our dogs. So if you leave a child alone, they might have a situation where they play a little bit too rough. Even if it's a young puppy or a bigger dog, they might end up jumping on top of the toddler. They might end up just nipping. Puppies are generally teething, so they might just nip at those hands, and it can cause quite a bit of damage because puppy teeth are quite sharp.
Yes.
So never advise anyone to leave their dogs alone with their babies or their toddlers, regardless of whether they're puppies or old dogs.
Or older, or dogs that are their own dogs, or not.
Definitely.
Well, thank you, Sherry, and for bringing Sky. He's been so good.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely well trained. One day of training and behaving in studio.
Yeah, she's learning.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Well, there you have it. It's easy peasy to keep your toddler safe when he or she is with a dog. A battle of the parents. Please join me in welcoming to studio summer-nominated singer Nomfusi, and welcome back to Tsakane Mkari. Ladies, kyale amuhela.
Thank you for having us.
So, Nomfusi, when you are in the industry ya go bina. So, ki industry e leng gore e busy.
Yeah, definitely.
And then una le bana ba ikae?
I 3.
Bangaka abantwana bakho?
Kaluna 10, Olandela Yuna 4, and then the youngest Una 2.
Bancinci lo omncane kakhulu musona 2.
Boy, yes.
Uyiboy yena. Usathethe uyateketeka uyakhuluma. Uyateketa. Kunzima. Sikhuluma ngento zokukhuluma nekuteketa in this show. So right now ubakhulumisana because uyathetha, and ndiyava ukuthi nesisuthu ngathi uyangena nalapho.
Utatabo actually is Tsonga.
I see.
Yeah, so kukholo. I think that's why engadathethe msinyane lo umncinci, because ngithethe isiXhosa, tato thethe isiTsonga, kukhona English eyenzekayo apha endlini.
It's the way to do it. Let's play My Ma is Better Than Jou Pa. Here's how it works. The two moms are going to face off in an epic battle of fastest finger first to answer a series of trivia questions that relate to today's episode. The mom with the most points will be named the better ma. Li ready? Li ready?
I am. I don't know about her.
So are testing the bell tsa rona ne? Re bona gore di a sebetsa.
Yeah.
Bell ena ne tshwantse o ringe before o araba.
Okay.
Go botsa potso, but before re araba re shikishikisa.
Okay.
Ra ringa ke nka ha o re ka Setswana ra ringa re ring.
Hi chika chikis.
Hi chika. And then this course asiyenza le bell le.
Say khalisa.
Khalisa. Masikhalisa si teste lapho. Ga futhi. Hi chika kamo. Chika. Okay, diasebetsa le happy ne? Diasebetsa. Okay, are we starting with our first question? Spell the word language. Yes.
Language.
Say it again, please.
LAN.
Yes.
GUANGE. N-G-E.
It's not
Yes. That sounds like
so
it.
not fair.
I think it sounded more like
The
it.
first one was not that.
1-0. I wasn't sure if it's saying and or a, but anyhow, we'll give it to you. We'll give it to you. Okay. True or false? Go bohlokwa gore re thuse re rute bana safety around dogs. Is it important to teach? Yes.
Yes.
What does multilingual mean? Hey.
Oh, but
What's yours?
this thing is taking forever.
Yes, so you have to keep it on you,
okay.
and also keep it at the top,
Yeah.
so it doesn't mute the sound of
I'm
the bell.
sorry, Takai.
Oh, but okay. Let's hear it from you.
I think multilingual means ukwazi ukuthetha ilanguage ezininzi.
Ewe. Thank you. Correct. So it is 2-1. 2-1.
Yeah,
There's still a chance.
there's still a chance.
There's still
It's
a chance.
okay.
Hakere. We have another question for you. Okay, so how many official languages do we... Hey! Hey! Okay.
We have 11 official languages in South Africa.
It's incorrect. It goes to Usistaki.
12.
Thank you. Yes, it's 12. Now,
Which one is the
can
12th?
as of 2020,
Yeah.
sign language is also now an official language.
Language.
Yabona.
I'm all about languages. So I should
Uyabona.
know.
Yazi.
Obviously.
We'll give it to you, okay? Because it is 2020. Yes, we are not always lapo in terms of information, but it is
Yeah.
now part of the 12 official languages. So it's 2-2.
It's amazing.
We're
It's
going to do a tiebreaker.
Okay.
Be ready ngepeni.
Yeah,
Ne? Ibambe kahle. Uyishikishikisa hantle ne? Okay. Name one any one Nguni language. Zulu. Thank you, Josabel. Woo! Taki, Takani. You are the better mom. Yay! Congratulations.
Thank you.
Ke tla go kopa gore o etse a shout out to your kids. Kopa o etse ka Xitsonga re kgone go utlwa gore ha puo ena e
where do I
jwang.
look?
Right over there.
Okay, so Lakshata wana mina Lwandle Nansobo Ikensangofo. I love you, mommy loves you, and everyone at home. Thank you.
Ah, thank you so much. Congratulations, you're the
Thank you.
better ma.
Thank
you both for joining me in studio. Thank you for playing with languages. You know, even in this game, ngithutite mo le mo now ndizifundisile apha na apha ngitichikitiche ka mo ngapha nirenile. So ngiyanibonga nobabili for joining me.
Thank you.
Hopola go kgothatsa bana ba hao gore ba bale. Seo se tla ba thusa ho ithuta maleme a mangata le go peleta. Thank you for joining me for another episode of Raising Babies 101, the Toddlers Edition.